Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and today we're going to work on a pattern from friendshipbracelets.net. It is pattern 112550. I'm going to just take a little screenshot here of the pattern itself and bring that over to a template. Now, you don't technically need to have a template in order to well, hang on. First, let me just do this. Let's layer transform. We gotta turn it clockwise. Is fine. Now I can size it up a bit. Scale it, and then we'll slide it off to the side. A lot of people will teach you that you could potentially, let's get a better color here so you can see what I'm doing, that you could just bring a V shape for a start for the bracelet and just go with that. Or perhaps you might go the other direction with the V shape so you get a teardrop loop. And despite the fact that that does work, I like to have my bracelets centered and make sure that it's even on both sides, because to me, one of the ways I can tell whether or not you're really experienced with this versus a beginner is if it starts out one way and ends in a completely different fashion, if that makes sense. So what I've done is I've created templates that are the size of a bracelet that I would be making. Now, this is a 12-string bracelet, and so that's what I have for my template. Now, I can make a choice. What do I want to have as my center, right? Because there's 2 points. We could put this area, this little small diamond and this stuff on the side. That would make a really interesting center. And then these things would be spaced out. I'm not sure if there'd be enough room to get 2 of those in there. Maybe it works. Or I can shift this upwards and put that as our center. Then for sure there'd be at least 3 of these bigger diamonds in it, and that might look really cool. And that's up to you. You get to make the choice on how you want to do it. Let me just anchor my floating layer. Let me go down to this other one. And you know what? I think I'm going to use the big diamond as the center. It can be completely up to you, so how you want to do that. Now, let's start out with our like a dark gray instead of black. And the reason why I put in the dark gray is in case later on I want to change it out. Maybe I make this more like a rainbow or something. I can change the gray without changing the black outlines. So that's why I do it that way. So there's a dot in the center and there's this here. Let's grab the orange and put it into place. Now I have a guideline right in the middle of my bracelet here. So what I'll be able to do is I can take and make it so that way I can copy the whole top half and copy it, flip it over to be on the bottom half. So I think there's a big advantage to being able to do that because, well, for one, you know it's symmetrical, and 2, you save yourself a lot of time. So let's see, there is a black dot here and here, and then another one comes up to the center. And then this is like the yellow color that's in here. So there's black, white, yellow, and orange are our colors. Again, I don't want to use the white because, again, if we try to change its color for whatever reason, it would turn into the whole background being changed. So let's find something like a really light gray. So the white does 2 here, 2 here, It's a little confusing. And maybe if I do the black line, this goes to the edge, back in. There's a black dot in the middle of that. We can grab the yellow. When I grab the colors to fill it in like that, I grab from like the middle of the square that I already have, because if I try to grab it again from the work over here, there's a possibility that I will get a different shade of it, which would make the whole thing look a little bit weird. But here we go. So there's a black dot on the edge of there and there. And then this row here goes all the way out to the end and back. And the yellow is inside of that. Okay. And then again, we have like the little gray ones here and here. And we have the little cutouts with the oranges here and here. And the rest of this is the white. Now, I'm not sure that I'm necessarily going to use the same exact colors when it comes to making the bracelet. That is something that you're more than welcome to change. You could reduce it down in the number of colors by, you know, maybe you turn the yellow to the same shade as the orange. That would not, there'd be nothing wrong with that. It would look kind of cool. Actually, I think those are the yellows and these are the curtains. There we go. Oh, look at that. We're almost to the top of the bracelet. So next is the orange diamond. So the orange goes all the way to the edge like that. And back on the other side of it. Like that. And then just outside of the orange is another one of the black rows like this. All right. And then inside of there is yellow. So this ends up really perfectly right at the very top of it. Now that doesn't always happen, but in this instance, we are very, very fortunate in the way that it did end up. Oh, we got yellows right here. Now, I like to be able to see where the strings are doing when they're underneath the knot. And it's real easy to kind of track where a string kind of came from and where it's going to. So let's do some of that here. We know that this orange comes out like this, comes back in. Oh, we hit the outside line there. That wasn't right. Okay. So far we know that it does that, and it has to end up down here. Now this gets a little bit muddy, but yeah, let's hold off on that for a second. Let's put in some of the other strings, see what they're doing, and then it should become really, really clear what we have to do. So this black string, yeah, can come out and go this way. This other one can come in here. Because there had to be a black string to be out on the outside here. there had to be another one to be in this area. And like this could change directions here. But like with this one coming out, that can go straight, and then this one can go straight. But in order to have this dot in the center, there obviously has to be a third string to be able to do that. So there's 3 blacks in this, and we can deduce that from how the pattern goes. We know that this will be the yellow coming through here. And it's sometimes, when it comes to some of these bracelets, it really might seem very difficult to figure out how the pattern goes. But if we just concentrate on what was easy, what's obvious, then figuring out what's left becomes very, very easy. So now we know all these strings out here, all of their colors. So the last one has to be the white string. And we can even kind of see the path that it's taking, because all of the other colors are already kind of used up. Like, so this is going to come underneath. It's going to get to that yellow and bounce out to the outside. This dark one here is going to come out, and it's going to be right here. This yellow comes straight through, changes its direction, comes into the middle here. Right? And then that actually tells us what happens to the string. The white one came through here, bounces off that yellow, and comes down to here. And then it bounces back so that way it can come into these other knots. Just little zigzag knots, so nothing too crazy. All right, and now we can see that our orange came down, got to where this white is, and bounces back to be out here. And the yellow is going to come into this diamond, so it's going to go underneath that orange string to make it the little yellow square in the center. See how we can use the templates to be able to figure out the string directions? Now, mind you, we have that over on friendshipbracelets.net. They actually show you the whole pattern. What I'm doing here was getting it set up so that way I can make my bracelet knowing that I have it all perfectly centered. Mostly what I only need to know is how to start these colors off, and then I could just go with what is over here. But I do find that having the template completely set up for me does make it easier. It's something that I can follow for the whole design. If it was super complicated, I can use it to cross off areas as I complete them. I'm not saying that this bracelet was necessarily that difficult, but it certainly could have been, right? You know, if that was the case, if maybe, you know, I was unsure of how I was going to do it, yeah, crossing off areas that you've already accomplished is a great way of making sure that you're not making mistakes, that you're going to the pattern that as you intended. So while I'm finishing up filling this all in, let me just give a quick thanks to my YouTube members who make this stuff possible. It's their contribution that helps me pay for all the string that I use to make these videos. And yeah, I kind of want to be able to show you guys a lot more of what is possible and how we can actually make these things work. So I think this is going to be a really pretty bracelet. I think that the way that it goes through the colors and stuff, I think it's going to be really cool. again, I'm kind of torn about what colors to use. I don't mind the colors that it is in. White, black, that's fine. Orange, yellow, also sort of cool. I don't know. I know that I have recently been using an awful lot of orange string. I made a small phone bag for my wife, and I used a lot of orange to make that because that's her favorite color. So I'm a little bit torn on the notion of using up a whole lot more because I don't know how long it's going to be before I order new floss. And if I run out of orange now, I wouldn't be able to make bracelets in like a rainbow spectrum or something. So that's why I'm kind of contemplating the possibility of a different color, because it might be a problem. Not a huge problem, just still a problem. So there. So I'm gonna finish filling this out. Let me show you what happens with the flipping. So you use the select tool, and you can grab the whole top half and come all the way down to that guideline. Copy and paste it, which is just Control C, Control V. Use the flip tool, and you come down to that guideline, and it will finish out the whole rest of the bracelet for you. You'd only have to worry about the whole top half. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to make this bracelet, and that'll be tomorrow. And I'll let you know if I ran into any trouble or if there's anything about it that was worth mentioning. So there you go. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. And as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.